Good morning. Today we are going to run through a tutorial on how to correctly enter a purchase order for a one-time purchase into Microsoft Dynamics. If you don't happen to have purchase order maintenance as one of your favorites, you can find it by clicking on the Orders module, then the Purchasing module, and under Input you will select Purchase Order Maintenance. The first step in entering our purchase order for a one-time purchase is to enter our vendor ID. For our example, we are going to use Netafim, which is NET01. If you don't happen to know the vendor ID off the top of your head, you can hit F3 right here and it will bring up the entire vendor list. And then from there you can select the name. We're looking for Netafim Irrigation. Tell it OK. Then the next step we're going to do is we're going to click in the grid right under Purchase For. It automatically defaults to Goods for Inventory. When we do a one-time purchase, we don't use Goods for Inventory. So we're going to click this little down arrow and it will bring us a list of different charges that we can select from. For a one-time purchase, we're going to select non-inventory goods. Now we're going to click right under Inventory ID. This is where you would enter the letters OTP for a one-time purchase. You could also enter OTP.supply. That's whenever we purchase something just to use in our warehouse. For our example though, let's stick with just OTP. Now it defaults to site ID 01. If you are not in the Garden City office, which is 01, then this is where you would enter your own store number. If you happen to not know your store number, again, you can hit F3 and it'll bring up the entire site list. You can click from there. Let's use Levelland. Tell it OK. Now we're going to enter our quantity, how many we want to order. Let's order 10. It defaults to each as the unit of measure. We're going to go ahead and leave it as each. If you hit F3, you'll notice that there's only each. When it's a one-time purchase, it's going to always default as that unit of measure. Now we enter our cost, and this is what the company has given us as our cost to purchase. Let's pretend that it's $200. Now it multiplies automatically the quantity of 10 times the unit cost of 200 to say that the extended cost, how much we'll be billed for, is $2,000. Now here's the important part, the account number. Automatically when you enter OTP as the item, it's going to default to account 5200. If we are going to purchase this item and then sell it to a customer, we want to leave it as 5200. If we're going to purchase this item and use it in our warehouse, we would change the account right here to say 6280, which is supplies and tools. F3 again will bring up the active accounts list, and from here you could select what you want. However, most of the time we're either going to use 5200, which is cost of goods sold non-stock, or the 6280 supplies and tools. So for our example, let's stick with 5200. I'm going to tab over past project and task because we don't use those squares. Here is the next square that's really important, which is the sub account. It automatically defaults to the 6 zeros, but if you hit F3 again, you'll notice we have a long list of sub accounts that we can choose from. The first set of zeros is what we call the site location. If it is 0, it means general. If you scroll down here, you see 01 means GC. You can scroll down further to see that 02 is Abernathy, and then so on and so forth from there. You know, we see 03 for Levelland, and since we're using 03 as our site, see site ID right here, we know that we want this box to start with a 03. From there, we need to decide which department. You can hit F3 again and you'll see all of them that start with 03. If we don't know our department, it would be stuck under general, which is the 00. If it's administration, 01. We have sales as 02. Scroll down further and you'll see design is 03. Warehouse is 04. Service 05. And then agronomy 06. Let's say that we are purchasing something for the warehouse. So we're going to be 03, 04. And now the last thing we need to choose, the last set of zeros, is either 00 or 03. 00 is for default, and 03 is for materials. If we are purchasing this item to sell to a customer, we are always going to use the 03 as the last subaccount, materials. So let's select this one. Now we have our subaccount as 03, 04, 03, which to recap is Levelland, warehouse, materials. Now we're going to tab over all the way to the alternate ID and the description boxes. If you have the company's item number, then you could fill it in under the alternate ID here. Let's say Netafim start with 71GR8. And then here we would enter the description for the item, and we're going to say that this is a 8-inch ground rod. Okay. Now, make this screen big. You'll see that we have all of our lines filled out. And if we had more items to order, then we could start over on a new line here. Again, if we wanted more OTPs, we'd have to select the non-inventory. But if we were ordering something that we keep in our inventory, we would leave it as that default goods for inventory. And then here's where you could enter. Let's say that we're ordering some tape from Netafim. Okay. Now, you'll notice on the goods for inventory that we didn't have to enter the subaccount or the account number. We never want to mess with that on purchase orders, just so you know. We're going to delete that line though because we just want to focus on the one-time purchase. Our next step is going to be to click the Shipping Information tab. Here we need to select the down arrow under address type, and we're going to select site. This is going to give us the addresses for all of our locations. Here you would type in your site ID again, and we're using 03 Levelland. And when you hit enter, it automatically pops in all the information for the Levelland store. And that's exactly what we want it to do. The vendor information tab is already filled in based on what we entered right here in the vendor ID. The last step is going to be on the other information tab. We have to enter our buyer name. So my name is Kristen, so I enter Kristen, and it automatically pops in that my full name is Kristen Hilger. If I wanted to enter my email address, I could, but it's not required. Just a quick reminder, if the box is highlighted in red, like my buyer name is, or the terms, the PO number, company ID, if it's highlighted in red, it has to be filled out, or else Microsoft Dynamics will not let you save. Alright, we have everything filled out, so now we can go ahead and hit save. And it's going to automatically give us a PO number of 008272. Our next step would be to click print at the bottom. We would then click print PO and begin processing. Now it just kind of needs to go through its posting steps, and in just a little bit you'll have a PO that comes out to your printer. Okay, once it goes through that steps, then you are all complete, and you can either go back to minimize. You can either hit the X to close out because you're all done now, or you could hit save and finish and it would just give you a blank box. You close out, and now you can go about your merry way. Make sure to pick up your paper from the printer and fax it into the company. And those are all the steps required to do a one-time purchase order. Thanks for listening.